In this lesson, we are going to have a look at abstract data type, or ADTs as they are called. Take an example of this cell phone which is ringing, and there are two options which are available to the user: to pick the call or to decline it. Okay. Even after picking the call, he has an option of putting himself on mute. So these are the options which are available to the user. If we press the decline button, what is the internal processing that is taking place? So what are the steps that are involved which will decline the call? What are the steps which will happen if we mute ourselves on the phone? Is those steps, or is that process known to the user, or is it visible to the user of the cell phone? No. So this is the kind of an abstraction that we are talking about, that only whatever is required is visible to the user. Other characteristics, other internal processing is not visible. It is not known. So this is an example of abstraction. So what is abstraction? So it is the concept of exposing only the required characteristics and behavior. Take this example of an ATM again. When you insert the card, there are multiple options which are available to you: cash withdrawal, knowing your statement, depositing the amount. Again, how all these different functions are happening, those internal steps are not visible. This is again an example of abstraction. So the user is only seeing an interface, and all the code and all the programming, the processing is hidden below that code. So the ATM, when you are using the ATM, you are not bothered about the internal operations of the ATM. So then what is abstraction? It is the process of hiding the details of a particular function to allow the user or client to view it at a very high level. So you must have looked or come across abstraction in programming languages also. Take an example of C, where you have this procedural abstraction. When you are wanting to find the square root of a number, and you use a function like this, square root, and you give the parameter over here. So for using this function, you are simply including the math.library. So you include the math.h header file over here, and just by using this header file, which includes the appropriate library, you are able to use the square root function. Are you bothered about how this square root is being determined or how it is being computed? No, you are not. So this is an example of procedural abstraction. So we just know that this square root has been defined in this math.h library. So we just know the prototype of this function. By prototype, we mean what should be the input parameters and what it is going to return. So if we just write sqrt27, so even though the square root of 27 will be computed, it has to be retrieved somewhere so that you are able to access that value. We know that this particular square root function is accepting a double as a parameter, as an input parameter, and it is returning a double as the output. So if we have a variable, say for example C, from where we can collect this value of this square root 27, then we would be able to get this value. However, we just know this prototype. We don't know the internal working of this particular function. Okay, so also there is no need to define this no need to define the value of double also. This again is an inbuilt data type and it has some standard representation and meaning. So this is an example of the procedural abstraction. You use some process or a function where the details are hidden from you. Take an example of this function power. So if we have to compute 2 to the power of 3, we simply do this. We use this power function 2 to the power of 3 and collect it in a variable, say x. Again, we know the prototype of this function only. We know that it is accepting two parameters as as a double data type, and it is returning a double data type also, which we are going to collect in this variable x. So this is an example of procedural abstraction. What we are going to do is study about data abstraction, how data abstraction can be applied to data types. So we are going to look into more detail in this lecture. So we know that there are certain built-in data types like int, float, character, double. We know that these are available as inbuilt data types in the programming language. So when we declare a variable like int a, what exactly are we saying? We are saying that it will be using 4 bytes of storage, right? We also say that the range of the values that we can represent will range from this to this, because this is representing minus 2 to the power of 31 to plus 2 to the power of 31 minus 1, if we are using 4 bytes on a 32-bit machine. What are the operations that can be performed on int? We know that on int we can perform certain binary operations like plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus. We also know that there are certain unary operations also that can be performed like these. So these operations that can be performed on int, they are predefined in that programming language. Okay. So if we compute something like this, power a to n, we know that though this definition, the prototype is having a double as an input parameter, a and n, since they are int, and double is hierarchically superior than a and n. These will be taken as converted into that. So this will work, and we know that the operations can be performed on these integers. We also know that we can perform and use this integer in some kind of a user defined function also. So there is a user defined function like convert to binary, where an integer is an input parameter and it is giving an integer pointer as an output parameter. So we know that these integers can be used in inbuilt functions. They can be used in some user defined functions also. We can perform binary operations on this. We can perform unary operations on this also. Can we do something like this? A plus plus b. What would this mean? This would not mean anything because such an operation has not been defined anywhere. Can we do this? Yes, we can do this because this is defined and addition is also defined, but something like this has not been defined. So all the operations that are defined for a particular data type, only those operations can be used. Can we do something like this? No, we cannot, because this function that has been defined, the prototype is that it needs two input parameters. So for each operation that has been defined, it can be used for that data type in that particular manner only. Take the example of a character C. Again, we know that it will use 1 byte of storage. Its values will range from minus 128 to 127. So what are the operations that can be performed on it? Since these are ASCII values, since the characters are being represented by ASCII values, plus and minus, they can be easily performed. So if we have a code snippet like this, character x is equal to character a plus 1. So we know that the ASCII value of a is 65. So when we will add 1 to it and when we will display this value, the character corresponding to ASCII value 66 will be displayed, and you will have B over here. So there are certain operations that you know that you can perform on characters. Similarly, if we have some user defined functions where characters are taken as input, so then this character will be taken as an input and it will be converted to the uppercase. We also know that there are certain data types which are not inbuilt but can be user defined. So just the way we can have user defined functions, we can have some user defined data types also. Take an example of this data type, struct. This is a user defined data type. Here it is an aggregation of different kind of built-in data types like char, int, float. So here you can see that there is a struct who's by the name of student, and it is having three elements to it, three components. The first name of the student, which is a string, the roll number, which has been defined as an integer, and marks, which are float. And we have also declared an array of 5 elements of these structures. So an array of structures has also been declared. So now what are the operations that we can perform on this particular student or on this particular structure? So there are operations where we can store information in the structure. So if this is an array of structures, so in each structure element of the array we can store information like this. So we go from I is equal to 0 to 5. In each of the roll numbers, we increment it and ask for input and store it also. Okay. Similarly, we can store the marks also. Similarly, on this particular structure, we can display information also. So these are the functions that we are using for this particular user defined structure. So if this is a structure, say we are taking an example of another structure which is complex, and there are two elements over here, a real component which is of type double and an imaginary component which is of type double again, and we are declaring two variables C1 and C2 which are of this data type, just the way we declare an integer. So we say int a. So this is the data type which is inbuilt. Now this is the data type which we have defined, the user has defined. So we write the name of the data type, struct complex. So this is the data type, and we are declaring two variables of this type, C1 and C2. We can also use a keyword which is type def, so that we do not have to write struct word again and again. So what we do is that we say type def struct complex. So that means that to this struct complex we are giving a name which is complex. Okay, and now we don't have to write struct complex C1 C2 again and again. Every time we don't have to use this word struct. We can simply write complex C1 C2 because we have used a type def. That means we have defined that struct complex will further on be known only by this new term or new name complex. So this is a user defined data type, and we can perform certain operations on it. So now when we know that this is a data type that we have defined, we have to specify the operations also that we can perform on these data types. So let's see what are the operations that we can perform on this structure that we had defined. So we will say that we can have an operation like this: input a complex number. That means if I am given two parameters over here of double type, then I should be able to create a complex number out of it. So suppose if the user enters 2 and 3, then I should be able to return 2 plus 3i, which is the real part and the imaginary part over here. What are the other operations that I can define for this structure? Add to complex number. So these are the prototypes that I am defining, that this is the prototype of adding two complex number. I will take one complex number as an input, another complex number as an input. I will add them up and I will return a complex number. So if the user is giving 2 plus 3i, and so this is one complex number, another complex number is this, and when this operation C add is performed, I should be able to get 6 plus 10i. This function should be able to return 6 plus 10i. How it will be done, that is not known. That is the kind of abstraction that we are talking about. We are not bothered about the internal details or about the internal implementation of how these complex numbers will be implemented, how these functions will be implemented. We are not bothered about that. We are just talking about the abstraction. We are simply defining the operations. So input, add, multiply two complex numbers, conjugate of a complex number, where you take a complex number and create its conjugate. So if 6 plus 10i is the input complex number, then the output would be 6 minus 10i, the conjugate of this. Display a complex number. Return the imaginary part of a complex number. So these are the operations that we are defining on that complex structure data type that we had created. This is the abstraction. We are not bothered about the internal details of this. Okay. So how are we? So whenever we say that we have defined this, that means our user should be able to use these functions. So how will the user be able to use this? When we were using math functions, we included the math.h library file, right? When we are using string functions, we include the string.h library file, string.h header file, and then this includes the necessary library codes from the library. So that means if we are defining some operations on the structured data type, first we should be able to create a header file. So let's create the header file. What will the header file have? So we will include an header file. So say the name of that header file is complex.h, and now we have included this header file which is having all the prototypes, okay, and using that header file and the hidden codes behind it, any user should be able to use these functions now. So if there are three variables of this type, complex, C1, C2, C3, and these are now user defined data types, so he should be able to input them and create a complex number. He should be able to add complex number by simply giving this command cadd. He should be able to find the conjugate by simply giving this command, though he is not even aware of what is going on in the backend. So this is the abstraction that we are saying. This is the abstract data type. So how and what is happening at the backend? So you as a programmer, you as someone who is a computer science engineer, you should know how to create this kind of an ADT for applications and for programs. So the first thing that you need to do is create a header file. So this was the definition of the structure, type def struct. These are the elements, you have defined this, and these are the prototypes. So the header file complex.h is only going to contain the prototypes. What will be the inputs and what will be the output. Okay. So once this header file has been created, now what we have to do is take any C text editor and create the complex.c file which will contain the actual code. So what was the first uh, operation that you wanted your user to have? That if the user gives any two parameters of type double, you should be able to create a complex number and return a complex number to the user. So this was the prototype, complex input double x double y, and now this is the function definition now. So you have a new variable defined, complex z, and z dot real is equal to x and z dot imaginary is equal to y, and we are going to return z, which is a complex number. So if the user is entering 2 and 3, so z dot real will be equal to 2 and z dot imaginary will be equal to 3, and the complex number that would be returned would be real part 2 and imaginary part 3. How should it be displayed? This is the function definition for the display part. So if any number comes in, a complex number comes in, how it has to be displayed? As 0.1 long float. This is the format specifier for a double, and so it has to be printed like 2.0 plus 3.0i, because there's a 0.1 over here. So this is the format specifier, and this is how this complex number will be printed. Similarly for add, again two complex numbers are being taken, their real parts are being added, their imaginary parts are being added, and a new complex number is being returned. So we have to create the header file which will contain all the prototypes. We have to contain the complex.c which will contain the code for all the operations that we want to perform. So abstract data type is characterized by the representation, by the values that it can have, but most importantly by the operations that can be performed on it. So the operations of an ADT now can be classified as different types. One are the creators. Creators mean that they will create new objects of the type. Like we took an example of this, the first operation over here. It is taking some parameters and creating a ADT of that type. So when we are taking an example like complex input and we are taking some variables over here, so this will create a new object of type complex. Producers are operations which create new objects from old objects of the type. So suppose if we do complex and we do add c1 c2, so it is taking two complex numbers and creating a new complex number of the same type. So it is creating a new variable of the same type. What are observers? So here they take objects of the abstract type and return objects of a different type. So like suppose if we have a function like this, double imaginary and c1. So here I am taking the complex number, I am retrieving the imaginary part of it, which is of double data type. So I am taking object of the abstract type and returning object of a different type. So here I am taking the object of or a variable of complex type and returning a variable of double type. And what are mutators? Mutators are processes or operations which change the objects. Like suppose if I have a linked list or if I have a stack, if I add new element to it, so what will be returned will not be the original list or the original stack. So we say that it has mutated. Mutated means it has evolved or changed shape or converted into a new form. So mutators, they change objects. So when we are getting it is of a different type, it is not the original list. So we say that it is mutable. Versus immutable, where suppose if we have a particular data type and we make any changes to it but it remains the same, you cannot change it, then we say that it is immutable. Also ADTs must have representation independence. Here, what does representation independence mean? Means that suppose if I have two integers a, b, and I'm adding these two integers and I am printing the sum of this a and b. That means I'm using a function over here, sum of ab, right? But how are we going to implement that sum? So in whatever way I'm implementing that sum, either I can simply implement it in this manner and I simply say return a plus b, or I can implement it in this code and I use some bitwise operators and return the sum of a and b. So whatever I am doing internally, also whatever data types I'm using internally. So suppose if I have a stack, and whether I'm internally representing it using an array or whether I'm using a linked list, whatever I'm doing with it, but the push operation for the stack will remain the same, right? Whether that stack has been implemented using an array or whether it has been implemented using a linked list, the push operation will remain the same. It will push or add one element to the top of the stack. So this is what is referred to as the representation independence. So just to brief this all, if there is any request for any operation on a particular data type which has been defined, so the operations should be able to provide the abstraction and they should not be linked to the implementation. So the implementation part could be through anything. It could be through array, linked list, tags, using primitive data types also, but this part is hidden and the abstraction is only dealing with the operations that are defined for that particular data type.